So Close Calls was released in 2017 and directed by Richard Stringham. This is his directorial debut, and this is a film that's been on my radar since it came out. Now, from my recollection, I remember this coming out when I was still in college, so I left in 2014, and for some reason I thought this came out a little bit earlier, but no, apparently it was 2017, and I had heard of it through podcasts and reviews on YouTube, and a lot of people talking about this indie horror kind of thriller picture. And it sounded interesting and intriguing from everything I heard about it because I love my B movies and my independent cinema and my low budget cinema and horror especially 80s throwback, which this is absolutely full of, with the score and the music choices and just the way the whole production and you know lighting and the whole way the film looks just really puts you in that indie vibe and that throwback kind of setting in a sense. Although it's not really clarified when the film takes place, but there is a cell phone in it, so I would say probably modern day. But the lead of the film, her name is Jordan Phipps, and um, wow, she is gorgeous. She makes an amazing performance for what she was asked to do. Really young girl. She's like maybe 20, 21 when this film was filmed. And right from the trailer, the first thing I noticed is how insanely huge her tits are. This girl's breasts are obnoxiously huge. Like where you would think they're fake. I, I don't know the natural or not, but Jesus Christ, I'm talking like I don't like custom made bra sizes or something like that. This and obviously the director, it's very obvious that they're exploited to hell. The entire film, this girl is walking around in a bra and panties around her house, and that's obviously done on purpose. And the shot choices and the wardrobe choices, like I said, and just the way she was asked to like behave and like talk and present herself, it was just you can tell that this was exploitive on purpose for sure. And man, she's absolutely gorgeous. And like I said, she's walking around half naked through the entire film. Now, I'm mixed on this film because it's one of those that I liked a lot of things about it and then didn't like other things about it very much. Basically, this kind of plays around with the idea of like when a stranger calls, where this girl's home alone and she's getting strange phone calls throughout the night. And she gets them through this office phone, and the office phone is pink. So they do a lot of like aesthetics with colors and stuff like that and make things kind of seem out of place, but in a cool and like interesting way where you don't see very often. So I really liked the set designs and stuff like that. But she's getting these strange phone calls throughout the night while her father is away on a date, and there is a few scenes that focus on the father being on the date as well. But the majority of the film is at home. She's also kind of taking care of her grandmother who lives in the attic, and they play around with a semi like Pet Cemetery vibe with Zelda, where the grandma is very sick, very strange, and he the director has this sense of humor that he puts throughout the film, where he kind of makes like a comical sense or a comical vibe on like depravity and like sick things. Like it's really weird. I don't know. Like I didn't like it too much. Like there's scenes where like the grandma's like eating off the floor, and there's one time where she grabs the girl's arm and she's like speaking this demonic voice, and it's just a really strange like frail, creepy grandmother, and they do that on purpose, obviously. Another thing that I really had a hard time getting behind this film is that pretty much every character is not likable except for like the grandmother who's fine, and then the father's okay until closer to the end of the film where he starts to act like kind of a pussy, especially throughout the film, when you get to know his date and the woman that he wants to bring into his life, and then you start to see his choices on women, which is not that good, and then his behavior starts to go a little bit downhill too. But the lead character, Morgan, played by Jordan Phipps, she's so unlikable. And like I said, her performance is great for what she was asked to do, but she's so unlikable. Like, I don't like this girl, and she's she's a bitch to everybody. She's selfish as fuck. She's constantly doing drugs. She walks around in her bra and panties all the time. She mouths off to her dad. She doesn't care about anybody. She doesn't really care about her grandmother. She's kind of like creeped out about her grandmother. She takes care of her, but in kind of a bothersome kind of way. Like, she's not caring about anybody. And when these phone calls start to happen, and when she's like in danger kind of thing, you just don't really care. And then later on throughout the film, there's this guy named Barry that shows up and claims to be a friend of the father's, and he claims to know the father, which he does. And she's hesitant about letting him in at first, but she does, and he starts to immediately get creepy right away. He wants to serve her alcohol, even though she's a teenager. And they start having a drink of brandy together. Obviously, she's very flirtatious and acting all sexy, which she does throughout the entire film, which is absolutely fantastic. But then, of course, it goes where you think it's going to go, and he forces himself on her and, well, knocks her out first, and then he ties her up, and he tells her that he has this plan to basically force himself on her and make it look like she overdosed pretty much, because she has a history of being a drug addict, and she's been in and out of rehab. And he mentions this. He's like, oh, well, nobody's gonna really think twice if they come home and see you with a needle in your arm. So that gets disturbing. And then she says she needs to go to the bathroom, and she says she needs to pee, and she tells the guy that if he lets her go and lets her go to the washroom, that he can watch. So then you get like a semi-sexy slash semi-awkward scene at the same time going on, because you're like, this girl's so hot, and like the whole situation going on is kind of hot, but kind of, well, very weird. Not kind of, very weird at the same time, because of Barry and the way he acts. They really got a great actor to play him, because he is cringy as fuck, to say the least. And then there's that, and then the date eventually starts to become the villain herself, and then when the father and her come home, there's reveals of her cheating with Barry, and then there's reveals of her killing the mother, which the mother is mentioned that she had passed away, or she has been passed away at the beginning of the film. So it's revealed that she was murdered by this woman. I think her name is Brenda. And then Brenda becomes the knife-wielding killer, where there's lots of great shots, like 80s looking shots, where it's like just the camera on the hand and the woman's walking around with the knife, so that's cool. The synth score is amazing, like I said already. There's one shot where there's a conversation between the father and Brenda. The father's name is David, and it looks like they're on a platform that's spinning around, because the camera's kind of still focused, and then they're having a conversation and they're both spinning around kind of thing. And it looks like they're standing on a platform that's spinning them both around. So it really gives a cool aesthetic to their conversation, because when the guy will face, he's talking, and then he'll like spin around, and you'll see his back, and then you'll see the woman start to talk. So I really like that dynamic of that shot. It was one of my favorites in the film, and a very unique one that I don't usually see very often. There's also at the end, when it's funny, because Morgan is carrying a fire pick, and she gets the opportunity to smack Brenda in the head, but of course she doesn't smack her hard enough, so Brenda ends up stabbing Morgan in the leg. And then Grandma comes out of the attic and chokes Brenda to death. So I'm like, Grandma can defeat Brenda, but Morgan can't with a fire pick, but Grandma does with her bare hands. And she goes all like zombie mode. It's really, really fucking weird. She bites her face and everything, and she's all like looking rabid with this like rabid face. It's really, really weird. And then she starts pissing herself, because there's a few scenes where there's some secretions from vaginas. So there's that kind of sick and depraved comical humor that Richard's oh Jesus, I butchered his last name. Spring I should write these names down, but Richard, the director, I'll write his name at the bottom. Um, he definitely has that specific kind of comedy that I can't say really worked for me necessarily, but there is things in the movie that did work for me, especially having this girl walk around the entire thing with a bra and panties. She also has asthma, so at the end she has this asthma attack, and it puts her basically into a dream state where she's walking around. This is where you do see her tits, so you do see those massive, massive balloons that I don't even know how they don't weigh this tiny girl down. It's ridiculous. Like, you have to look up a picture of this girl in this movie. Jordan Phipps in Close Calls. Ridiculous. Those tits. But she's in this dream sequence. She's got like straight hair, and then she sees her mother in this weird form, like she's got her arms up and everything, and it's this really weird dream sequence until it ends, and then it ends the film with Morgan in the attic, and it seems that she's locked up there because she can't open the door, and she starts screaming and basically can't open the door, and then starts crying, and then the phone begins to ring again, and it kind of suggests that, like I said, the phone is coming really close to the house, because it shows this like this door just open a little tiny bit, like a jar, in the shed in the backyard. By the way, this girl lives in pretty much a mansion. Like, this girl's filthy, or her daddy anyway, is filthy rich, and she's the most spoiled brat there is. This is another reason why you can't get behind this girl. But yeah, there's the phone ringing, and then the door ajar, and then the credits roll. So I'm like, does that suggest that whoever was calling is in the house? Because they don't really, they hint at who was calling, but you never really know. Like, was it Barry? Was it Brenda? Was it the creepy kid that keeps sending Morgan love letters at school, which she mentions? Because she mentions that right at the beginning of the film, that there's this stalker basically that she has, and writes her really creepy and almost threatening letters to a sense. And then she has, I would say, a boyfriend, but I would say also just a guy she's seeing and screwing pretty much. He comes over, and then he's like flirting with her, and he wants a piece of ass, obviously, but she's denying it. And then he wants to get her fucked up on salvia, and then she again goes into this trippy dream sequence, and you see him eating her out, and I'm like, is she dreaming that? Because like, that's not cool. He got her fucked up on salvia, and then he's eating her pussy. That's fucking rape, man. Like, the hell's going on? And then they're having an argument at the pool, and she's like, you took advantage of me, and I don't play that. And she's kind of like casual, not casual because she's pissed, but she's like calm for the situation. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. Like, comes over with drugs, he fucks her up on salvia, and then he eats her pussy. That's fucking rape, man. You don't do that shit. But yeah, she's like, yeah, you gotta go, and I'm not gonna be your whore anymore. And I'm like, that's it? Wow. Jesus. You took that lighter than usual. But anyway, and then he's like, what's the problem? We've done so much more and worse before, so like, what's wrong with that? It's not like we did anything that we never done. It's not like you've never wanted it before. And I'm like, yeah, okay, well, was she fucked before, and were you sober? Anyway, that was weird. And like I said, this film is a mixed bag of feelings for me. So I liked a lot of it. I liked the style of it. I liked what Richard was going for, and other things, like especially involving his sense of humor, and just the fact that there's not a lot of characters that I would want to root for or cheer for, kind of made the film a little bit on the average side for me. So not bad, not amazing, maybe something I'd watch again. Jordan Phipps is a reason enough to watch this fucking thing again. And that's all I got on Close Calls. So I wanted to watch it for a long time, and I finally got the chance to. So there you go. Make up your mind if you want to check it out for yourself or not. It's streaming on Tubi right now for free, so you can check it out there, or go check out the Blu-ray wherever you can. And subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more when I can, so stay tuned if you're interested. And until next one, take care, have a good one, and cheers.